Good morning, podcast community. Yes, you're on the Mindset Podcast. What does it mean to be on the Mindset Podcast? Well, our guests, we're going to get into a discussion about the mindset. But, Kobe, tell our viewers who you are, what you do, and who you serve. And we met at Rotary, so you can go either way. But mainly, I love the idea where you train kids. The high performance uh, wrestling. So maybe let's go there and just share with our viewers so they have a better perspective of who you are.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Colby Yates. I grew up in Gainesville, Georgia. I got involved in wrestling around seventh grade, and it was just instrumental. And too small for football. Um, kind of got really devoted to the sport. Took me all the way through college. Now I coach all girls national team based out of Alpharetta, Georgia,
Hmm.
called Charlie's Angels. And we travel the country. Some of the girls are even on the world team. So really seek out the competition. A lot of the girls that come and train with us are, top of the state or top in their area. So, we've got to travel and get them matches or we get better. You
Yes.
either win or you get better. So, try to stay away from the loss, losing and, that kind of talk. There's lessons in everything. So, essentially that's what we do with the kids is we travel the country and seek out that competition.
I love that. I love that because in our brief conversation, at Rotary, when you shared that, I was going, holy mackerel, I see a mindset podcast right here. So let's go back to frame it. I mean, so you're too small for football. So then you get into wrestling. So what was that journey like? Because, all the other kids are goofing off, having a good time, but you're devoting it to your sport at the time. So take our viewers through like that process to get to the level where you're training the top girls to compete at the highest level. You have to make that journey to get there. So what was that like so our viewers have a better idea of what you were going through?
Wrestling's different than a lot of sports. Just I mean, it's similar to some, but it's an individual sport with the team aspect. So
Hmm.
you really got to devote to to get to the high level. Your summers every waking, you got to be all in. So
Hmm.
as far as high school and college goes, I know the cardio I did. Our cross country coach used to always stop me because I'd start, in the off season, I'd start my conditioning running before their team started, and I was still running when practice was over. So he was always like, come run cross country with us. I'm like, I hate running. I just do this
Hmm.
because it's what it takes to stay in shape. Um,
Why did you, I mean, like that's crazy that you had to go do something you didn't like to do. What was your thought? I mean, because most time we just say, I don't like to do it. I'm not going to do it. So what was driving you to do something you didn't like to do to be able to perform in a sport that you loved at the time and you were developing a discipline for?
I'm sorry, I missed that first half.
What I mean to beat cardio, to do something you didn't like to do, but you knew it was going to get you better. What can you share with our viewers? Like you had the discipline to start wrestling because it does take discipline to continue to get better in wrestling. Why did you like at that time say, okay, I've got to do this cardio work because
Um, was really best version of myself. I guess half
Mhm.
that'd be half the battle. The other half is you've got to outwork the competition. So, I mean, I tell our kids now, or ask our kids rather, like, what are you doing outside of here that's separating you from everybody else? as
Mm-hmm.
far as it's easy to do what coach tells you to do. It's easy to do structured practice plans, but what are you doing on your own time that's going to give you that advantage? And to me, it was cardio.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really get into strength training closer to college, but I knew if I had a gas tank better than the next guy, then I could wrestle longer, harder, or harder for longer. Um, so yeah, it's really just separating yourself from the pack.
Yeah.
Like how can you spend your downtime, your personal time, that's going to get you better at your craft.
Well, the gentleman that's on at 8:30, we have a podcast with actually a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu owner, and she started it, I think, at 6 years old or something. It was
Nice.
pretty long ago. And so the discipline that she's created, now she has her own business. She's doing really well, but she had to, prepare herself over all those years. Like, people get into business and they just say, "Hey, I don't want to work for the big guy," and they open up a business. Before you know it, they're out of business because it was just an impulse. They weren't ready. What drove you? Like, was it your parents? Was it a mentor? What drove you to have that mindset that you had to have more gas than your competition? Oops, I lost you there for a second.
It's all right. I'm parked next to the lake, so I think when like a big semi goes by or something,
Yeah.
everything goes
So,
out.
did you hear the question?
I heard, no, sir. I heard about a Brazilian jiu-jitsu instructor,
Okay.
and that's about where I cut out.
So she tells her story or shares her story of really why she was actually undersized, small girl, and so she's like wanted to compete with bigger people. Now I watched her take two guys down. I mean, one guy down twice who's about a foot taller than her. And so it was a joke then, but it wasn't a joke way back then because she learned how to compete with her small size. So my question is, like, back then when football wasn't an option, what did you have a mentor? Was it your parents? Was it a combination of both? What helped form your mindset?
So I think it was just a decision. So I was starting outside linebacker for a JV team freshman year, and I
Mhm.
broke a growth plate in my forearm. So I played the back half of the season with butt pads taped all around my cast, like Mega Man, if you remember that comic.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
so when I started the wrestling season, I didn't have use of my left arm. Um, Anyways, it's a long way to say I was undersized, 95 pounds. Then wind out freshman year, I took second in state, made the state finals as a freshman. So I just, you know, really knew if I devoted all that time that went into summer football camp and, for the most part, me less than 100 pounds, I'm standing on the sidelines on Friday night, so there's just a lot of wasted time that could have been devoted to bettering my wrestling craft, by going to off-season tournaments, and it was a good decision, but I just kind of knew there's no future in football. I couldn't really lie
Yeah.
to myself, like, um, you know, I'm gonna gain 100 pounds and 7 inches next year.
Right.
Um, it's just not how our family is built. So
What do you think going from high school to college is another level of competitiveness? And so, like Eric Watson, he went from playing basketball at Kennesaw Mountain to playing in college and then playing around the world at a professional ranks. But, one person gave him a vision that came and spoke. He didn't even remember who it was, but the guy said, "Hey, this basketball can take you around the world." Now he literally took that and said, "Okay, I want to do that. I want to see the world." And so over those years, he had a mindset of discipline, hard work, and just that work ethic that kept getting him to rise. When you were going from high school to college, a lot of people say, hey, I've had enough of this sport. I'm just going to enjoy myself in college. What made you continue to compete at a high level from high school to college, which is a totally different mindset?
Oh, that's a good question. So, I don't know,
Did you ever think of quitting after high school and saying, okay, I've had my run. I did what I needed to do. Now it's time to look at something else. What made you compete in college?
it says I want to make sure I say this the right way. A lost bet with God. I think I
Really?
remember going into the state finals because wrestling's pretty grueling on your body. And state finals high school year, I was going in and I just didn't really want to wrestle in college. And I remember praying to God before that match, like, Lord, help me win this one last match and stop a state champion, and I'll never do this to my body again. I went out and it was a competitive match, but I ended up not having my hand raised and finished what I thought would be a storybook ending. State championship senior year was state runner up. So honestly, that was the point where I was like, okay, God, like I need to continue on this path. But yeah, it was really a lost bet with the man upstairs that
I love that. That is
kind of
so
propelled me
cool.
to college.
Yes. On our podcast, we have not that story, obviously, but we have similar stories. And it's crazy for people to wrap their head around something like that, that all of a sudden kept you stretching, kept you going on because I've heard not, I've heard similar. So, okay. So you lose that bet. You lose that bet. Now you're going to continue. So freshman year, you could have said, okay, I've done the 1 year in college. I've won, and I'm going to check out now and go to the easy life, because the comfort zone is comfort, but getting
Mm-hmm.
out of the comfort zone and stretching ourselves is a whole different mindset. What kept you going after you lost that bet with God? Like, give our viewers an idea of that thought process.
So I've definitely fallen in love with the sport of wrestling. As hard
Mhm.
and grueling as it is, but I'm also a believer that we shouldn't be half in as far as um, I tell our kids all the time, like, don't waste your time in here. Like, if you're not training to your absolute maximum, like you're wasting your time. The same
Mhm.
amount of time, the hour practice is going to go by either way. And I think that was just the biggest thing is like, if I'm going to be here, um, wrestling comes with a strict diet. A lot of times there's weight loss, and a lot of the other teams are having parties and fun, and you're sitting there looking at some dried chicken and some rice trying to make weight. So um, it is definitely mentally challenging. But really,
Yes,
just
that is crazy good. I mean, of course, I didn't have any idea that that was part of your story. But what I want the viewers to take home from that is, I love how you say you're wasting your time. Do you want to go through life wasting time, or do you want to be all in? I mean, so I want to drill down back, because it's very unusual. I can tell you, I've done 250 podcasts, and most of the podcasts are mindset, because I think mindset is everything. No matter what we do in life, if we can't get our mind right, we're not going to be able to do anything. And we self-talk ourselves into stuff, all that kind of stuff. So tell me, like, did you have brothers and sisters? Or were you the unicorn in your family? Because this is very abnormal compared to the world. How did you create that mindset that you just shared with our viewers? What was part of that? Was it a person? Was it brothers and sisters? Was it your mom and dad? What would what could you share with our viewers?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
You're very different. I call you a unicorn. And so unicorns always think differently. What shaped your mindset? What can you go back to that really gave you that mindset to be where you are today, to train top women competing nationally? I mean, you don't get there buying this thing off a Walmart shelf. I mean, it's earned over time, but you have to have the mindset to keep going on. Who influenced you?
Oh, there's several people. Limestone College was a big turning curve for me. We were one of the top ranked NCAA Division II programs, and at the time, Sarah McMahon was in a relationship with our coach. They have a kid together, and so she was there training for the UFC, and so she fought Ronda Rousey. I think she's still in the UFC.
Really?
Yeah, if I remember, she may be on her coaching career now, but she back when she fought Ronda, it was the first time two Olympians had met in the UFC, so it was a big deal. I just remember watching her train for it, and when I got the chance to actually roll and wrestle with her, she's a former Olympic silver medalist. Um, but you couldn't. I want to say this the right way. You couldn't give her an inch, like you had to, like she was a wrestler. And if you treated her like a girl, you're about to get beat up on for a little while. So, yeah, it was just the respect she demanded, just that she earns, as far as, and she can come in there and roll with guys in their prime in college and still put up points. And it was just, it completely changed the way I looked at women's wrestling.
Right. What part of your coaching now is working with the girls on mindset? Oop, we froze there. So what part of your coaching now with the girls are the mindset part of it? If you had to say a percentage. Can you hear me? Oops, I lost you. Colby, can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I'm back now, and I'm hoping I give Sarah
Hey, look.
the respect that
No,
she
I tell you,
deserves.
we put this together just so our viewers can know. I called him like late yesterday, and I said, "Can you do it tomorrow morning?" And it's like this wasn't pre-planned for weeks, so our viewers get what they get because sometimes the impulse of things to really, because I had an 8:30 with a couple other people, and that you have a Bible study that you're going to at 9, so I told him I'd have you off at 8:30. But I want to get one more final question. We'll pre-plan the next one so you're able to get the best reception and our viewers can
Yeah.
hear what you have to say. But what I wanted to know is if you had to say a percentage, what percentage are you working with the girls on mindset versus their physical ability?
That's a good question. Give you the answer I'd like to, or
Yeah, no,
be
give me what you
50
think.
50 50
50-50?
50 is really how it should be.
Okay.
But yeah, we do a whole lot of goal setting and positive affirmation. The way you talk to yourself is the way you feel. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a big part of our program, as far as and we just like, wrestling's grueling and hard, so we like to have fun. We'll make
Yeah.
side bets with the kids. I've coached down in Florida in a 2-2 because we made the championship round, and but mindset's really important. I don't I think, you know even if you're good at something, if you don't like doing it, you're going to underperform. Where, you know, if you're mediocre at something and you're having the time of your life, you're going to overperform. And we've seen it
Totally.
time and time again with our teams. You know, we just focus on having a good time and getting better while we're there. And then, you know, the results can be wins and championships. And, but it's never been focused on winning wrestling matches. It's always just, you know, the best version of you every single time, right? But
Yeah.
to tie it back, 50-50, I think, would be the appropriate answer. If I'm being honest, we probably do, you know, 60-40, 70-30, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's cool to hear because I went to high school with both swimmers and divers. And that's a sport that you're in the pool all the time. And it's usually very early when everybody else is sleeping in. But the people that I know that were in my class, they went on to have incredible careers because I think that discipline way back formed a mindset that, you know, business was not that big of a deal. No, it was a big deal, but I'm just saying they did the things early in life that shaped their mind. So when they got approached in the business challenges, they were used to the discipline it took to get to the level they need to get. So my final question is, what kind of joy do you get when you see the light bulb go off in the girls' minds that they kind of go to the next level? What does that do for you as a coach?
Oh, it really just fills my soul. Like that is why I'm in it. That moment, that realization, and uh, conquering the self-limiting beliefs we all have.
Yeah.
I think that's the light bulb you're referring to is like, you know,
Yep.
when the kid understands like I really can, you know, do what I want, you know, and get after it. But I think, you know, it's true across the board for everybody. Like the person holding you back the most is yourself.
Yes.
Exploring ways to
One
break
final
through
question.
walls.
Okay. One final question. I'll let you go because I don't want to be responsible for you being late for your Bible study.
Oh, good.
So here we have when we have parents, we have the mom who's the nurturer, then we have the dad who's the driver sometimes, most of the time. How do you balance the parents' influence on your girls? Because the mom doesn't want their daughter to get hurt. The dad wants kind of to be pushing it a little bit. And we have another guy coming on. This is great. Hey, Eric, I want you to meet Colby Yates up at the top there. We're finishing up. He's so and Colby, this is Eric Watson. I was telling him about you
Hey, Eric.
anyways.
Hey,
Yeah.
Kobe, how you doing?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Can't call it, man. In here just trying to get some extra little work done in this office, man. So y'all, but still just, I don't know, just extra grind.
Yeah,
That's
I
right.
wanted to have you guys on at the same time, but Colby has a Bible study at 9, so he couldn't do the 8:30. So we're finishing up, but we're going to have him back because you guys' story, although different sports, but the mindset similarities are off the chain. It's like crazy. And I met him at my Rotary a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
So I called him yesterday because I forgot to send my assistant to set it up. I said, "Hey, can you jump on a podcast tomorrow at 8:30?" And he goes, "Well, no, not 8:30." I said, "What about 8?" He goes, "Okay, I can do 8, but I got to get off by 8:30." So anyway, we'll get you two together because there's some similar parallel paths when it comes to the mindset it takes for you guys to hit the levels that you are, that I know our viewers would love to hear. So, Kobe, what would be the one thing, and Eric knows this, what would be the one thing you want our viewers, as we kind of wind down, that you want our viewers to take home from our time on this podcast?
I guess it'd be the self-limiting beliefs. Find ways to speak positive affirmation to your kids, or negative self-talk. And I struggle with it still, but it's the most crippling thing for sports. We tell our kids all the time, like, can't, never, could. So I absolutely hate that word. I can't do this, I can't do that. But that flip in the mindset of there's a way, and being able to figure it out. I think that'd be the big takeaway. Just get away from self-limiting beliefs.
Dang, that's like a gold nugget that you just dropped on my viewers. Oh my gosh, that's so good. Because Eric works with youth too. So there's similarities in giving back and the journey you guys, although you different path, but same mindset. It's crazy good. So I want you to, we'll get you back at so you guys can, so we can kind of like have the mindset challenge of just really giving our viewers just what you said. Those limiting beliefs, they're everywhere, and we all struggle with it because it's just our brain is conditioned how we want to feed it. And if we feed it the wrong stuff, whether it's diet or mind stuff, we're going to get the results from what we feed it. So thank you so much. And Eric's going to be back with you. So we're going to have some fun, because I tell you, mindset, there's nothing better. All right. Thank you, Kobe. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you having me on, and I'll find some better connection next time. I won't stop by the side of the road. How about it?
We did what it was good. I mean, not perfect, but nothing's perfect. So we worked. What did we say? Like, I went to special forces. You just figure it out. That's what my special forces be. You just figure it out. Yeah, you throw something. There's no playbook. You just figure it out. And then the better you can figure out, the higher we can go. So thank you so much. I'll let you run.
I appreciate you having me on. I look forward to speaking with you, Eric, and yeah, just let me know next time.
I'll share y'all's contact.
I look forward to hearing your story.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to send you his, so you'll hear a little bit of it, when I send the recap. Okay.
Okay.
All right. See you, Kobe. And then Eric, you want to stay on. We'll, Joanne will be on here in a few minutes. All right. Thanks.
Y'all have a good day.
Okay. Appreciate it.
You too.
Dang. Oh my gosh. That was crazy, because I absolutely sat next to him at Rotary. So at the end, I said, well, what do you do? And so he shared, and I went, oh my gosh. I said, because he wrestled in college, and now he coaches a travel world-class women's wrestling team. They travel all over the country. So he actually wrestled with this girl. I'd never heard of her, but what's that? The big time UFC fighter, Rousey.
Yeah. Ronda Rousey.
Ronda Rousey. So his coach was dated this girl that fought Linda Rousey. So he fought this girl, and he's saying, like, you can't give her an inch because she'll put the pin on you so quick. And so he just got, he kept getting, and he actually said something was pretty cool. He had a bet with God in high school. Let me go out in high school on top. You let me win this match, and then I'll be forever grateful. Whatever he said, he lost the match. So he said, well, I guess I better continue because I want to get on top. So he goes and starts wrestling in college, and then it goes from there. But yeah, it was a bet with God. Like, hey, let me go out on top. This is like storybook, it's too small for football. So he gets into wrestling, and God says, no, I'm not finished with you yet. So that was so good. So Joanne is supposed to join us. So we'll just, and maybe Crystal, I don't know. Crystal, I have a call with her at 4 today, but she doesn't come over here unless she has a certain amount of people to be in her class. And some of them have been on doctor's appointments. And seniors go to doctors every single day. It's like, hey, what doctor are you going to? Oh, I got to go to the knee replacement doctor. It's like I went to a presentation. It's like crazy how it was North Star, and I didn't know they were nonprofit. I just thought they were for profit, but they're nonprofit. And so they were talking about all the different surgeons that they have on their staff. And it was from every replacement you could think of. And as you get older, it's like you're replacing things like a bionic person, like, hey, this went bad. I got to get a new one, and it was like funny to hear her talk about all these specialists that are replacing things for obviously seniors and those kind of things. So anyway, it was hilarious. So how you been? You ready for vacation?
Gotcha. I've been good, man. Say what?
Are you ready for vacation?
You said that.
Are you ready
I don't
for
know if you're gonna call it vacation, so I'll still. Yeah, it won't be a vacation, but I am going down to Florida for a bit.
Oh, I thought you were going down to have a few days off. You just seeing your mom?
Yeah, I see my mom. I see my girlfriend down there, so spend some time down there.
Oh, you got a girlfriend down there.
Yeah, man. We trying to, she went to Lassiter, so she's in the process trying to get up here, and so we were trying to experience this whole living together chapter. We've been together for over a year, so trying to get this whole living together chapter. So trying to experience that for a little bit.
Yeah. So what brought her to Florida?
So when she graduated high school, her parents had moved down there, so she's got a house down there. But yeah, so that's where that's where her mom is anyway. So
okay.
But she's worked around different places and wants to get back up here. When I met her, she was on a contract up here. She works in sports and player development. So she's been doing that, and so she was working at Turner up here when we met with like Charles and Shaq and Kenny and all them. So, so after that contract was done, then she went back down to Florida. So she's working at Cacti Park right now as their senior marketing director. And so.
Well, good. Was she an athlete too?
She wasn't an athlete. She wasn't. So
really, that's pretty cool.
She got into it. She's followed football for a while though. She kind of got into that in college, helping study and whatnot. But so she follows sports now.
Wow.
But she was not an athlete.
Dang, so your conversations have got to be pretty good if you have a girlfriend, a mate that enjoys, the sports part of things. I'm sure the dialogues are pretty cool. I'm seeing let me see.
Yeah. So.
Joanie, let's see what she says here. Well, that's not her. Okay. Well, let me just text her real quick because I'm like back to back to back, and now I'm running. She'll come. So on our not new format, but trying to get 30 podcasts and 10 new ones on a week, you got to have a system to do it. You can't just arbitrarily do it. So here's what I want to propose to you. Batching is a big part of everything. Like when you're focused on one activity, you don't want to be jumping back and forth to things. So what I want to do is schedule 2 hours either once a week or once every other week. And that would include 3 podcasts, each of them 20 to 25 minutes, and then half hour of content creation. And the reason that's important is we have our first course that we came out with. We offer a free senior mastery course, and now we're driving traffic to it. And there's a whole strategy with that. But creating content is the future because you have to scale your business to be able to duplicate Eric. There's only one Eric. And so if you can't duplicate you through this is what makes you unique. Nobody can outsource it. You just have to create as much content that will attract people to you. And when you look at podcasting's like a funnel. You meet somebody, they have no idea who you are. They listen to a podcast, they know a little bit more. They listen to maybe another podcast. They get to know Eric before they do business with Eric. And so it's so critical to have thousands of people that basically are getting to know you. They're getting to know you from your mindset, your content. So you could be out in the marketplace. Let's just say you're working with your kids and somebody says something about whatever it is. We would include that in the content creation because that becomes a course on mindset. And so we never talk about the business side of it. We talk about your mindset of how you got to where you are. Then they'll go, "Oh, Eric, what do you do for a living?" Okay, then you share it. Let them ask you, not you say anything to them. So we constantly create content. And then when somebody Google searches Eric Watson, they see all this stuff on mindset. They're going, "Man, this guy's sharp. This guy," and they get to know you and all that. So I want you to think about a chunk of time that would allow you to brand you under your signature, which is mindset. There can be other things like under 35 in business. There can be professional athlete mindset. There can be other podcasts that we can create, but it's got to be from your heart. Everything is from your heart because you've lived it. You don't talk about being a professional athlete and know what you're talking about if you've never been one. I can talk about it, but I don't know what it's like to be at your level. So my perspective is different. And so that's why I want people to host ones that personally but we'll set up everything. So you just show up, invite people to be a guest, challenge people to just say, "Hey, look, you'll be out in the marketplace. People are going to ask you, what do you do?" "Well, I have a podcast." And you don't even need to bring up finances. Let them draw that conclusion. You just say you're a podcaster. You create a podcast. You have a podcast on mindset. And they go, "Dang, what does that mean?" And then of course, you're sharing it. And then you give the card to them. And we're testing it with Larry because he's, the comedian, Larry Hauser. He does baseball guys, comedy, and entertainment. And so those 3 podcasts are his 3, and then we create content for the other half hour. Does that make sense as far as seeing where we're going?
Yeah, just trying to making so if I'm saying this correct, so just having those focus days, I'll call them, and making a couple podcasts, and then also so you're creating a contact and then drawing people to it. So
yes, and I'm seeing so many of them. Like I meet Kobe and I go, "Well, you got to be on Eric's podcast because you have the mindset that you have created on your own, and now he's giving back to youth." But he works as a branch manager for a roofing company. That's his 9 to 5. But we don't necessarily focus on that. We focus on his mindset as an athlete.
Yeah.
So I will always be inviting
Definitely.
people like Crystal, just general, all kinds of different podcasts. Now, I don't know what happened to Joanne, so let's just get going because I mean she knew it was 8:30, and I didn't hear. Good morning. I'm
Now,
on.
real quick, is
Oh shit! She says she's on. What the heck? Where is she? Okay, this was 3 minutes ago. Did you? Oh, maybe you clicked on the 8 o'clock one. Okay, I think that's what it is. It's still going on. It's 40 minutes. All right, let me email the 8:30 slot, and she's on 8:30 is what it is.
okay.
We're still going on. Let me stop this,
Okay.
and then I can either send you an
Okay.
email if you can't find 8:30, but I think she set up that you and Joanne were going to be on at 8:30, but I'm not sure. Do you think you could find that email?
Okay. So I'll just hang tight.
Okay. All right.